So the last factor that I'm going to discuss that affects choice of occupation is identity. So do I think of myself as a person who belongs in this field? So as a computing person. So the reality is that women and minority students are not likely to have a sense of identity already as a computing person. And so by helping them develop one, you can help them be more likely to pursue computing. And one way to do that is to describe the opportunities that are there and promote their involvement in them. So you can describe opportunities for them to use computing skills, for example, to get involved in the community through community service. So you might have some projects, opportunities or otherwise other opportunities for them to get involved in ways that matter most to them. So connecting people with the community is always a good idea. Say, for example, there's a nonprofit that needs help with setting up a web page for accessibility to its clientele. And so with just one semester, maybe in computer science, you could do that. You could help out your community. And that kind of experience puts the student in the position of a computing expert. So it allows them to actually try on that computing identity, right? So they're doing an internship or project. They're the one in the office who now is the one putting that website together. They're the ones with the skill set. They are the computing expert in that small sphere. And they have a chance to feel what it's like to have that knowledge and skill that somebody else needs. And you're helping them promote that identity as a computer scientist. You should also encourage your students to go to conferences. There are regional celebrations, for example, of women in computing. It's another way to help your underrepresented students or potential students promote their identity as computer science. They can see other people who are like them, who are interested in computing. They could present a project they did perhaps as a part of your course, as a poster presentation. So they apply the expertise that they gained in your course, and they have this opportunity to develop an identity as a computer scientist. Okay, another way to help students create an identity as a computer scientist is to offer them role models. Now, role models are easy when it's someone who is very close or very similar to them in terms of age or race or some kind of similar background characteristic, if they talk the same way. And those kinds of things make it easy for the students to connect with. It's someone who maybe went through your class a few years ago and they're coming back to talk about how it went for them. Maybe they're in the workforce now or studying computer science at a four-year institution. Maybe they've had internships. So here is someone who went through the class just a few years ago and is now coming to talk about their success. They look like them, that kind of thing makes it very easy for a student to connect, but it doesn't have to be that close a similarity. It just takes more work to make that connection. Now, if the connection isn't easily visible, they may have to be more explicit in demonstrating a commitment to shared values. So if you bring in someone older or perhaps not the same race or the same sex, they can still be a role model, but they may have to expose more of their background to offer the students an opportunity to see where they connect. So find ways for connection. Talk to your guest speakers, for example, about their background and tell them to talk to the students about their background. So anyone that you bring into your class as a role model should talk enough about themselves so that the students have an opportunity to see how they're similar and to make the connection. So we've gone through the various factors that research shows influences occupational selection. And in this past section, we have talked about ways in which you can actively recruit and retain students by capitalizing on how we know people choose their occupations. So remember, ICBI. Ignite interest, cultivate confidence, build belonging, and instill identity. In the next section of this module, I'll talk about how to convey your messages.